So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, good evening. It's your boy once again, Bubesi Mphathi Mhlaba. Welcome once again to Football is a Religion, ladies and gentlemen. We will kickstart our show, today's show, with DStv Premiership. Yeah, DStv Premiership action. So yeah, man, the first game that we, witnessed, it was like a 3:30 kickoff in Cape Town, and there was a clash between Cape Town City taking on Kaizer Chiefs. So remember, you look at the fact that Cape Town City did a double over Kaizer Chiefs last season, winning by 2-0 at the Cape Town Stadium, and then also winning by 1-0, on the last game of last season, right? And recently, this season, they did defeat Kaizer Chiefs, AmaZulu at the FNB Stadium by 1-0, with Khanyisa Mayo getting the winning goal, right, on that day. And so they were actually aiming, to do another double over the famous Glamour Boys, for a second consecutive season, right? But of course, it was never going to be easy because remember, both teams, needed to get 3 points from this particular encounter, due to the fact that both clubs have got CAF ambitions. But yes, it doesn't, on paper, you might assume that they have got CAF ambitions, but, the performances on the field do not demonstrate that, these are teams that are really ambitious of actually playing in the Caf Champions League next season or even in the Caf Confederations Cup next season. So it was a matter of like Cape Town City just needed 3 points to go into second position, and then Kaizer Chiefs also needing the 3 points to at least go into third, come end of the weekend. And remember, both sides, came into this game with defeat in their last two games. And let's just say for the fact, look, Cape Town City, right, the Citizens, they made 3 changes, from the side that lost by, 2-0 against Royal AM at the Polokwane Stadium. We saw, the Colombian Darwin Gonzalez, coming in, making his first start since the 17th of February. And then we also saw that, the Citizens, they came into this game winless in 2024. They are yet to win a game in all competitions in 2024. And Cape Town City, the fact that they are now still winless, in 2024, they have now dropped to 6th on the log standings, and now that means Cape Town City's winless run now extends to 6 games in all competitions. Whereas Kaizer Chiefs, coming into this clash, Kaizer Chiefs made 5 changes from the team that lost, by 3-2 in the Soweto derby. We even saw a restart, surprisingly, by, Siatembe Sitebe coming in, and also Sibongiseni Mteto also coming in. They came in for the suspended duo of Yusuf Mart as well as Edson Castillo after they accumulated 3 yellow cards, which meant that they were suspended for this particular encounter. And surprisingly, remember now Sitebe was making his first appearance of the season. And for me, that was also very odd from coach Cavin Johnson, very odd to say the least. And that's also another mistake that he made in the previous game. Although I could say that Mntambo played very well, because in the previous game, which was the Soweto derby, Mntambo hadn't played in a long time, in months. The last time Mntambo featured was in October, right? And he hadn't featured since then due to injury. And he did make it in the starting 11 against Orlando Pirates in the Soweto derby, which was very surprising to say the least. And whereas Siatembe Sitebe also came in, right, and that was his first appearance for the season. He hadn't played this season due to the fact of he was nursing an injury, a muscle and an ankle injury. And what was actually so surprising is that I was expecting Samkelo Zwane to be given a chance to play. I was really expecting Samkelo Zwane to be, the much fancied, player to actually, be in that Kaizer Chiefs midfield. But, Coach Cavin Johnson went with 2 holding midfielders, which is Sibongiseni Mteto as well as Siatembe Sitebe, and Mduduzi Shabalala playing as the number 10 in the playmaker role. So which means that Kaizer Chiefs made 5 changes, right? And another thing is that Chiefs have only won 1 game in 2024, which was that 1-0 victory over Golden Arrows, just the game prior to the Soweto derby. And now Kaizer Chiefs have kept 4 clean sheets in their last 5 games, as they now drop to 7th position. So let's get straight to the game, right? So this particular encounter finished as a 0-0 stalemate, between the Cape Town Spurs as well as, I meant to say Cape Town City as well as Kaizer Chiefs at the Athlone Stadium. It was a pretty much, decent turnout. It was a decent turnout. It was a packed Athlone Stadium, in Cape Town. And to say the least, how the game actually started is that in the first opening minutes of the game, let me just say it like this, in the opening minutes of the game, Kaizer Chiefs actually started very well, if you want me to be honest. And it's that particular moment in time where I really thought that maybe, Kaizer Chiefs had intention of winning the game, because you could see that, they had the first real chance of the game. It was some great work by Sitebe, setting up one Dile Duba, and I think Duba could have done very better with that shot. I mean, that was a wasted opportunity. A waste of an opportunity. Because, when you get those kind of chances, that's not how you open up your body. You don't open up your body like that. And what Wandile Duba should have done is that, if he was a clever player, he should have just gone with his left foot. But that's the problem about, when you don't have players that are dynamic. You need a player that can use either foot, that can either use his right foot or use his left foot. I get the fact that he's still young, that he still has to develop, but I think at the age of 19, man, when I look at players like Phil Foden, I look at players like Erling Haaland, I look at players like Lamine Yamal, and Yamal is only 16 years old. I look at players like Enric. I sometimes tend to ask myself a question that, are we really doing enough to develop our players in South Africa? Because when I look at those players, I see the confidence in those players. I see players that have got the skills, that have already adapted to the professional, level of playing. And it seems like only here in South Africa, that's where we are still lacking. It's like we always make that excuse of saying, guys, no, he's still young. Give him some time to, adapt. But I'm like, you're playing for Kaizer Chiefs at professional level, my brother. Why do you need to adapt? Already you should be proving to us that, no, you are worth playing for Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, if you look at players like Kubarsi at Barcelona, you look at players like Fermin Lopez, and those players are even younger than Duba, but they are already world class. They are already showing their quality. Players that are composed, players that have got the confidence. Players that it's like those particular players are playing like, the types of, they're playing as though they've been there for a long time. They've been at professional level for like 3 to 4 years. And some of them, it's like they're only making their first, appearance, at professional football, And I sometimes tend to ask myself a question. What has happened to that Kaizer Chiefs team that, once used to dominate South African football, once was the most feared opponent in South African football? What happened? Because one did do, but should have done better. Chiefs were supposed to have taken the lead there, right? I mean, what a great pick out from Sitebe. I think that's the only good thing that Sitebe did in this particular encounter. Apart from that beautiful pass setting up Wandile Duba, that's the only thing Sitebe did. And, Sitebe also was an outcast in today's game. And you look at the fact that from that particular moment in time when Chiefs were missing those sitters, Cape Town City started to dominate the game. They were dominant. They were going at Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs couldn't even, string along at least 10 passes. They couldn't. They were struggling. They were playing this kind of game of just clearing the ball, shooting the ball forward, like playing Iskop and Donor. For a big club like Kaizer Chiefs playing that kind of football, it raises a lot of question marks, if you ask me, because a team like Kaizer Chiefs is supposed to be the one dominating in the ascendancy, right? Really showing, their opponents that they really want to win the game, that they are the ones that are on top. But when I look at the performance, I'm like, no, man. Pule Modi, very disappointing performance from him. Sometimes, always when he had the ball, instead of him taking on the defender, he always wants to cut back, come back to, go backwards, and then you kill the attack. Why are you afraid to be offensive? Take on the defender. Don't be afraid to take on the defender. You're a winger. You're skillful as well. You've got the skill. You've got the skill. You've got the dribbling ability. Why are you too afraid to take on the defender? Go on the offense. Show some individual brilliance. So show us some like, tenacity. That like you are a player that's ambitious, that really wants to play well, that wants to deliver for a big club like Kaizer Chiefs. In front of a fully packed, capacity. No, man. I mean, even Cape Town City, they had the best chances in the game. Mayo himself was also isolated. Darren Gonzalez had a brilliant chance, right, which hit the post. What a great shot that was. And then I'm also thinking of, Jaden Rhodes. Decision making on the youngsters' side was very poor. Just like Mdu Shabalala, Wandile Duba, Jaden Rhodes, as well as Tashrik Hudeman, the youngsters, the future of our country. Their decision making was very poor in today's game. Very poor. Shabalala, too many touches. Nje, too many touches. Wandile Duba. I'm just wondering, is he really Kaizer Chiefs material? Is he really the future of Kaizer Chiefs? Because today's performance really raised a lot of question marks. Yes, he scored a brilliant goal against Golden Arrows, in that 1-0 victory. But even in that particular game, he was really not, as effective as you would expect him to be, irregardless of that, brilliant goal that he scored against Golden Arrows. And I'm very disappointed with Coach Kevin Johnson, because you've got weapons on the bench. You've got players on the bench that can do the job for you. Because look, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing much to talk about in the second half. Apart from the fact that the best chance in the second half came in the opening few minutes of, the second 45, with Wandile Duba just dragging his effort wide. And that was a great run from the youngster. And that was the only major talking point from the second half, to be honest. Yes, Dupree also had a chance, but, he also too many touches. Too many touches. And Kevin Johnson, I'm very disappointed in him because, when I look at how Kaizer Chiefs played in today's game, the fact of the matter that remains is that when you've got players like Zwane, you've got players like Saile, you've got quality players on your bench. When you can see that your team, the team that you've trusted, that you've fielded, is not doing the job, start making those changes early on. And again, Kevin Johnson has this tendency of playing Kwinika at right back. Why is he doing that? Why are you playing Kwinika at right back? Where there's Frosler, there's Solomons. Those are players that can give you more going up front. And they've got great defensive capabilities. And look at what Solomons did when he came in. Solomons literally changed the game. You understand? Unfortunately, he was brought on too late. Kevin Johnson, you can do better than that, man. Sorry, coach. I'm really sorry, but you can really do better. Can you sometimes just understand the fact that when you can see that the team that you fielded is not doing the job, you can see that the team is struggling, the team needs a bit of a lift. That's why you've got substitutions. You've got players that if plan A doesn't work, then let us implement plan B. It's like you didn't even have a plan coming into this game. No structure, struggling just to hold on to the ball, not going on the offense, no offensive runs whatsoever. You look at Sitebe and Mtetwa, two holding midfielders. None of them were even fetching the ball from the defense. You need that type of a player who can connect the defense and the attack. None of those players do that. None of them. But you have Zwane who can do that, who's got the ability to do that. And you leave him on the bench. How does that work, coach? How? Please explain to us, how does that work? I mean, I'm pleading with you, Coach Johnson. Please, man. Give Zwane a chance, a fair chance. Because he's better than all the midfielders that you have, that you entrust there. Or what? Is there beef that you have with the player that we might not know? Because literally, he's way much better than all the players that are there at that particular squad. He's better than Mart, he's better than Castillo, he's better than Sitebe, he's better than Mteto. But you're still leaving him on the bench. Coach, can you just give us an explanation? I think we deserve it. I'm not a Kaizer Chiefs fan, but I'm like, I don't want to see some players, career being destroyed right here. Players that have got so much potential. Players that we would love to see them, who have got the ability, who have got the potential to improve the standard of South African football. These are the players that are even going to represent Bafana Bafana in future. But if you're going to keep destroying their careers like this, not giving them game time, not giving them a fair shot, then you're already destroying their careers. You're killing their confidence. Kaizer Chiefs really need to do better. This performance was just not it. It was below par, to say the least. No structure, no rhythm in terms of play, lack of creativity, lack of offensiveness, lack of confidence, no teamwork whatsoever, no individual brilliance whatsoever, poor finishing, poor decision making. I can just go on and on. But it sums up Kaizer Chiefs' season. It really does. I mean, one win in 2024 in the league, plus you're out of the Nedbank Cup. Are these guys even training or what? Even Cape Town City, I'm disappointed with their performance. Despite the fact that Mayo was an outcast as well. But I'm very disappointed with both teams' performance, honestly. This is not a great advertisement for South African football. Definitely not.
Today's lineup, City had what Eric Tickler called their worst game of the season against Royal AM in their last outing at the Harry Gwala Stadium. 3 changes from that game. Skipper Kaizer is back from suspension. New Namibian in the midfield, Atrocious Petrus is his name. Petrus his surname, and he comes in place of Brisambina. Played in the derby, plenty of time to reflect for captain or coach Cavin Johnson. 5 changes he's made since that derby defence, 2 of them enforced by suspension. There's no Castillo or Yusuf Maat today, so the midfield will have a new look. Edmilson Dobe plays against his old side. And Siatemba Sitebe plays his first game since the very first outing of this season when Chiefs. The 2 sides are ready to get matters underway here at the Athlone Stadium. Ideally, this game would have been played at the Cape Town Stadium, but rugby is now the primary tenant at that venue.
Influx of players from that part of the region.
There's a good ball from Mkize to Goedeman. Meyer waits in the middle. Goedeman now to the left, or Rhodes rather, maybe done a little bit too much when there was opportunity there to feed Mayo. Shabalala back in the lineup today after not featuring significantly in the derby. Little flick to the back post, an opportunity there for Sitebe. Not a man known for his goal-scoring prowess.
It needed a left-footed player, listen. When the ball is...
Gonzalez straight at Sitebe. Good ball over the top here, wonderful chance! The youngsters missed it. That was an opportunity to give Kaizer Chiefs an early lead and for Duba to enhance a growing reputation.
Now, because he's so right-footed, as he tried to measure up to maybe position himself to let loose with his right, that ball keeps...
They really see the DStv Disky challenge. Away goes Rhodes now, looking out wide here for Gonzalez. Sights on goal, hits the upright. Solid strike from the Venezuelan.
Good movement, passing game, excellent passing game with speed before it opened up with this wide pass to find Gonzalez. Not too much in resistance in front of him. And yes, the angle is a bit tight, but he let loose a very powerful shot when a goalkeeper expected.
A left back by trade, co-opted into the middle. Now here's Sitebe. Good pass to Dupree. Cross the face of goal. No one there.
Now the question is, was that a shot? Or it was played in hope?
So what can Chiefs do here? Properly cleared by Mkize. So and the signal from Dupree. Here it comes towards the back post. Sneaking in belatedly was Sitebe. He's had 2 chances now. And almost looked a little bit surprised by the fact he had the opportunity. Was he ready for this?
That's exactly the point. He doesn't.
If necessary. That's almost cut out by Gonzalez. Now it is by Petrus. Petrus goes for goal! Wow, what a debut that would have been. And that found the net. Vuma puts it over the top. Another corner.
It looked an ambitious shot for a moment, and yet when Vuma saw it, and also it's not flying straight, it's all over the place, so it was a great save.
Left-footed effort with Mordi. At the run here from the flank from Duba, and I think it's come off the Chiefs. No, it's come off a City defender. It'll be a corner.
Great pass. See now, Duba had a chance to actually ping that ball into the far post with his right, but
over the top, and chances at the other end, notably for Sitebe of Kaizer Chiefs, with nothing clear-cut in the game so far. So we see what the second half will deliver. William Shongwe alongside me as our expert analyst as we welcome you back here for DStv Premiership action. And Shabalala with a shot which Keith saves. And Cupido to clear away. Well, that's a good positive start, William.
Indeed. Every now and then I saw
the captain's armband today. There they come now with Duba down the right-hand side into the penalty area up against Cupido across the face of goal. That's pretty close. That was a lot closer, I think, than Keith thought.
That is more like what I would like to see from the youngsters, which is what I say Pule Modi wasn't doing. When you break through, take the defender on, force them to at least bring you down. I mean, this youngster was very brave. He didn't look back. And any other touch there could have resulted in a foul, which could have been a penalty.
Chase is on here for Shabalala. Godinho, the defender. Shabalala straight at Godinho.
Of this ball, one or the other.
Godinho was originally. Good challenge here from Rhodes, goes for goal. And he's making a bit of a meal of this challenge from Sitebe, who's and there was Rhodes winning. There's the shot. Sitebe with a late challenge. Rhodes making a big meal of it, and Sitebe is quite rightly irritated with Rhodes'.
It's a good move. He seems to lose concentration right at the death of an excellent move. And Shibavira, of course, still far from full fitness like we've seen him in the past.
Solomons chips this ball to Edmilson. Now Gonzalez. He looked up a little too long for options. Got caught in possession. Solomons cutting through. Still Solomons with the left foot. Turning it in, looking for something for Kaizer Chiefs. Gonzalez will clear. It'll be a free kick in favour of the home team. 5 minutes to go.
That's the hunger you want to see from a Solomon. And the other youngsters that I spoke about earlier. When you not pull it back, you want to create pressure for the opposition.
There's another player, Solomons, who hasn't had much football this season,
yeah.
So a chance for him to press coach Cavin Johnson.
And also he had presence of mind to cut that ball back, where there was a bigger chance. There was a lot of blue shirts lining up in the box. So for me,
Shava is dispossessed. He has a chance for Duprier. He's taken on a little too much. The angle was very tight, and Cupido was right on his tail. The latest to suffer from injury.
Once again, the pressing game of Kaizer Chiefs as Duprier breaks through. Did Cupido get a touch to it? I think he got a touch.
And once again, I mean, I think we've said this a lot of times about Pirates. How inconsistent they are. How they're that particular team that, you can never say that this is the team that will really compete against Mamelodi Sundowns for honors. You understand? Pirates is really an inconsistent team. And their performance against Caf United last night at the Peter Mokaba Stadium was a clear demonstration of that, But it was actually a good game plan from Letlaonola Seema. I must say, I must give credit to the former Polokwane City mentor, Letlaonola Seema. That was a great game plan from him. He knew how to penetrate Pirates, and give credit to the players of Babina Noko. But the Babina Noko players, they really stuck to the game plan. They really did stick to the game plan, and that's exactly what we saw. Because, look, excuse me, sorry about that. Caf United, now they've salvaged a 2-1 victory, right, over Orlando Pirates in the DStv Premiership, at the Peter Mokaba Stadium. And, let me just be real, man. Pirates are a team that is very disappointing. Winning a derby sometimes, guys, it can always be very misleading. It can be so deceiving, because that's the thing, because remember, Kaizer Chiefs is no longer that Kaizer Chiefs. I think Kaizer Chiefs is a team that has literally fallen from grace currently, They've really fallen from grace. The only thing that's keeping it going is those supporters that really still have belief in them, So, Pirates won the derby. That was their last league game. And everybody really thought that, no, the team is back to ticking. But that's not exactly what I saw. I knew that Pirates were going to go on that run again of being inconsistent, like they always do. Because, yes, look at the fact that Pirates, they gave a debut to the young, Thabiso Sesane. Thabiso Sesane made, he finally made his season debut for the Sea Robbers, against Kukune. And the centre-back, he did show a glimpse of some good display, and he played 45 minutes. And then Sesane was replaced by Sandile Mteto, the man who scored the winning goal in that semi-final clash against Kaizer Chiefs in the Nedbank Cup last season. Whereas they would go on to defeat the very same opponents in the final at Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria. So the 23-year-old Sesame, he surely will be hoping to actually get some more playing time moving forward, under the guidance of, Coach Jose Riviero, right? And what must also be noted from this particular encounter was the fact that Orlando Pirates stars, Bafana stars, the defensive duo of Nkosinathi CBC as well as Tapelo Koki, and the midfield pair of Tabang Monare as well as Patrick Masanganyi, they were all rested for this tie. So remember, the players, they were those 4 players that I just mentioned now. They were part of the Bafana squad in the inaugural FIFA series that was held in Algeria. Whereas on the other hand, Kukune did not rest any of their stars from the Bafana squad, because we did see Elias Mukwana as well as Nico Mobi, starting on the pitch. They were given some starting berths in the starting 11 for Babina Noko, right? And sorry. And we also saw the fact that, Coach Jose Riviero, he did receive a great boost as, the midfielder Thabiso Libito returned to action after serving a 1-match suspension, right? And look, apart from that, man, Pirates, when you look at the game, man, the game was very slow. It was a very slow start to the game, to be honest. Yes, there were a couple of chances, especially when we saw Mofokeng, when he bursted, he made a great run. He timed his run to great perfection. Unfortunately, there was no support, so he had to do it all by himself, try and cut in onto his left, force a save out of Sankare. And, there was some great work from the youngster once again. And also Tsegofatso Mabasa also played well. Tsegofatso Mabasa is that kind of striker that always finds himself in a good position. He'll always be a menace to the opposition defense. It's just that, when Pirates were on the hunt to get that equalizer for the second goal, right? I think that touch really let him down. It let him down so much. But look, he has been a great addition to this Buccaneer squad. He has really done well, to be honest. Tsegofatso Mabasa, I think that loan move to Moroka Solos has really done him so much good. And, you can see that it's now bearing fruit, based on his recent performances, based on the fact that he now has got 3 goals right now for the Buccaneers since returning from his loan spell with the Dube Birds. Remember, he netted against Crystal Lake in the Nedbank Cup. He also netted in the last round of the Nedbank Cup against Hungry Lions, and now he has netted the consolation goal in this particular encounter. It was just a matter of the fact that, Tsekgofatso Babasa was in the right place at the right time. So remember now, Vusimusi Ncube, he was the one who broke the deadlock in the 32nd minute of the game to put Cavin United in front. And then it was the former Orlando Pirates star Mntambo, the man of the match, who added the scoreline for Babina Noko in the 51st minute of the game. But however, the Soweto Giants, they did manage to score a goal 5 minutes after the restart through Tsekgofatso Mabasa, And let me just say, both sides really looked threatening. We saw even in the first half, Jamie Weber, forced a great save from Sipo Chaine. That was a great long-range effort from Jamie Weber. Perhaps you could say it lacked a bit of power, or maybe it just lacked a bit of swirl to the ball. But that was a great save by Sipo China, great anticipation from the goalkeeper. And another thing also, Mntambo was very lively in the game. The captain of Babida Noko, he was very lively. He had a couple of opportunities here, having a long-range effort, just sailing slightly over the bar. And let me just be honest, even the Pirates midfield was very complete. You could see Miguel team spreading those passes. It was just a matter of, just being more clinical in front of goal, the decision making. Again, Pirates' decision making is also one thing that lets them down quite several times, And also another thing that lets them down is just, the final pass. The final pass is also another thing that really let them down, in this particular encounter. Because Pirates, they now missed out on an opportunity to go into second position. Because with 3 points in this particular encounter, Pirates could have gone on to second place. Had they beat Sekhukhune, they just needed victory against Sekhukhune in this particular encounter, and then they move up to second place. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. And you must also remember the fact that Pirates, they boast a good record against Sekhukhune. They've currently have 5 wins in their last 8 encounters across all competitions. And 6 of those 8 clashes, between the two teams have come in the league. Where Pirates basically, they boast like 3 victories, in this particular, fixture, right? But let me just say, Sekhukhune, they've done well because now they move up. This victory against Pirates moves them up to 3rd. And they are basically now level on points with Orlando Pirates, right? With 33 points, Pirates now drop to 4th because now Stellenbosch are the team that is like now in occupying 2nd place following that victory over Royal AM, that emphatic victory over Twisli Twahla, right? And let me just say this, Stellenbosch, have been a team to watch, man, this season. They've really been a great team to watch. And to be honest, that's the team that is really going far. But as for Pirates, man, they will be kicking themselves and asking questions that, no, man, how did we miss out? Because we should have been going into 2nd place. But again, we know Pirates is very inconsistent. We can't always expect, what we expect from Sundowns, because Pirates is very inconsistent, and we hope they'll start working on that very soon. And to continue, DStv Premiership action, did resume on Saturday. Following, a 2-week international FIFA break, that is the final international break of the season, right? And, the 2023-2024 PSL campaign, is getting more interesting and more livelier, as the battle for the top 3, as well as the bid to avoid relegation is really sharpening. It's really enhancing. And on Saturday afternoon, what we saw is that Golden Arrows played host to Richards Bay in a KZN derby, at the Mpumalanga Stadium in Hammersdale. And then we also saw Polokwane City, they welcomed Chippa United in Polokwane at the Old Peter Mokaba Stadium, while as Stellenbosch locked horns with Royal AM at the Danny Craven Stadium. And look, man, those were the games that we were looking forward to, we were anticipating as well, because look, man, some of these teams have really done well this season. They've really exceeded expectations, right? Some of them. I'm just saying Stellenbosch more particularly. I'm referring more to Stellenbosch, right? Even Polokwane City. But yeah, since the departure of Letlholo Seema, it has actually affected their momentum and their rhythm in terms of, playing. But look, I want us to start with the KZN derby, where Abafana Base took on the Natal Rich Boys. So it was a 2-1 victory for Abafana Base of Golden Arrows. Golden Arrows now, they claimed, the bragging rights as they defeated Richards Bay by 2-1 in the KZN derby, thanks to goals by the legendary Nduduzo Sbi as well as Olwethu Ncube. And then, we saw Somile Ntundwana, who grabbed the consolation goal for the Natal Rich Boys. And basically now, Steve Kompela has now maintained his winning momentum as he secured his second victory in a row after his return to the club. Down in Limpopo at Polokwane City, Polokwane City took on Chippa United, the Chili Boys of Gqeberha, or maybe Emonte, because I heard that they did relocate to the Buffalo Stadium in East London. So it was actually the veteran striker Ndumiso Mabena who opened the scoring for Rise and Shine early in the game, and that was just enough to secure maximum points for Rise and Shine. And now City now jump into the top 8, and as for TS Galaxy, who are currently in action against AmaZulu, can pull them out if they come out victorious, right? So Stellenbosch, right, took on Royal AM and emphatically grabbing a 3-0 victory over Tuihli Tuahla. So Stellenbosch, they used the home ground advantage, and as they were able to hammer Royal AM with a heavy score, 3-0 at the Danny Craven Stadium. It was actually Devin Titus who netted his 5th league goal of the season to put Stellies ahead in the 26th minute. Just before halftime, Spesihle Msomi, scored an own goal to double Stellies' lead, and then Bafana striker Ikram Reyners tripled the lead 10 minutes into the second half. And that is the best way to mark your 50th appearance for the Stellies. I'm talking about Ikram Reyners marking his 50th appearance for the Stellies with the goal. And again, Steve Barker's side, now they've leapfrogged Orlando Pirates into second on the table. And remember the Buccaneers, they lost, as I just mentioned, they lost 2-1 to Sekhukhune at the Peter Mokaba Stadium on Saturday. And now Stellies are now 11 points behind Mamelodi Sundowns, who have like 2 games in hand. And I want us to talk about that game a bit. Now Stellenbosch have secured a league double over Royal AM. Remember, they defeated Royal AM by 3-1 at the Harry Gwala Stadium early in the season. Now they've defeated Royal AM by 3-0 at home. So basically, they've secured a league double over the Peter Marisburg base side. And now they've scored 6 goals against them, only just conceding once, right? And again, as for the Stellies, right now, the Stellies are like a house on fire right now. If they can keep up with this momentum, perhaps they will finish second place and perhaps secure qualification for Champions League football next season, And, man, they've been a joy to watch. I'm referring to the Stellies. They've been a joy to watch, to be honest. They've really been a joy to watch. And look, as we wrap it up, man, we wrap it up with the game between TS Galaxy and AmaZulu, right? The Rockets taking on Usutu at the Mbombela Stadium. And it was actually TS Galaxy that did claim maximum points after beating the struggling AmaZulu at the Mpumalanga Stadium, right? Not Mpumalanga Stadium, Mbombela Stadium. So the Mbombela Stadium in Nelspruit, right? So it was actually like basically 2 second-half goals by Tato Kiba, as well as former ex-Kaizer Chiefs striker Samir Nurkovic. Basically goals from, Tato Kiba as well as Samir Nurkovic were like enough to secure a positive result for the Rockets. And now, the Rockets they currently sit 9th in the log standings, just 2 points behind, 7th place Kaizer Chiefs, who were held to a disappointing goalless draw against, Cape Town City. And that was a very disappointing game, to say the least, man. Very disappointing. I mean, it was so disappointing. Very disappointing. Kaizer Chiefs, what has happened to that team, man? Something is really going on with that team, but I think that's a topic that we'll have another day. It's a topic we'll really have another day. But let's go straight into the Caf Champions League, right? So we saw Simba taking on Ahly, and then we also saw Young Africans taking on Mamelodi Sundowns. Both clashes were in Tanzania. And the first of which was the one between Simba and Ahly. It was actually Ahly that did clinch victory over Simba in the quarterfinal first leg, right? It was on Friday evening. That game took place on Friday evening. And it was now Ahly, they took an early lead in the first half. And Simba, they tried to, they really fought hard to actually find the equalizer, but the Red Devils, they were just able to hold on for the win. And now basically that's advantage Al Ahly going into the second leg in Cairo. The Red Devils, they made a strong start, with Ahmed Nabil, Koka, actually opening the score in just 4 minutes into the game. Despite the efforts of the home side Simba, to actually level the score. The first half concluded with Al Ahly leading by 1-0. And during the first half, Simba, during the second 45 minutes of the game, Simba maintained possession for the majority of the game, and they took more shots at goal compared to their opponents. But they just struggled to find the back of the net, However, I can say that Al Ahly, they successfully maintained their lead and, securing a 1-goal advantage, and now securing a 1-goal advantage away from home, it's a very precarious situation for Simba, because now as they head back into the second leg in Cairo, it's going to be very difficult for Simba to get a result, because losing at home to Al Ahly, it's already, that's a precarious situation to be faced with, right? It's a precarious situation. And let's just say, man, how can I just put this? In the Egyptian Premier League standings, Al Ahly, currently occupies 10th position, surprisingly. They've only participated in 8 matches, amassing 17 points. And it's noteworthy that they've only played for fewer games than other teams in the league. So, it shouldn't really be much of a surprise, and people shouldn't really be puzzled by that. Because you look at Al Ahly's upcoming Egyptian Premier League match against, Modern Future, which has been postponed due to their continental commitments. Meanwhile, their Caf Champions League second leg encounter against Simba is set for Friday, April the 5th in Cairo, and Al Ahly will progress to the semi-finals if only they are able to avoid defeat, and which we know they will avoid defeat. There is no way in which I see Simba being able to bounce back, following that 1-0 defeat at home to, the record champions of the Caf Champions League.
Alipatra Sangari, Nikomo Kadoso Chibwabwa, Tiwani, Jamie Weber, the Spider Weber, Kamuhelo Mukojo, Mkize Mntambo, Elias Mokwana, Omchigelo Inkane, Au Kidio, Bapetela Page Fusmo Zimnobe, Mokwana Nela Page o Nikomobi, Bapumage Engine, Lesiswe, Yonagala Page in Africa, Lagatege, Betalakonage, I'm a friendly against Andorra, Narola Page Iswe, Lasse Algeria, Gubege Mkaloge, Ebe Mitagan Pela, especially Umkaloge against Algeria, La Sabono Koregamakole, Atige, Aobe is Tupa, Sbonala Page Temba Zwane, Ekilage Imanga. Chain Libizo nda asesana hoto mpata Miguel Timba fana bom kobanya wi koben bafana Mufukeng Altamini Barili Batakai Saleng Mabasa Ailo la page itempo Laula page Orlando Pirates Tabiso sesana Insizwa gelembugeli Egia kichimama na fana na boge ocho mokosmos Asazu tige iyo zalankomoni Amasi abegwe elangeni Indaga ibegelo mazolo Nasel Sugashala Susoyola Page Orlando Pirates Evakashelwe Iskukune Chibwabwa futi Pagamisa Chibwabwa Yamvimpa Orlando Pirates La Page Muva Linda Mntambo Figo Outuyazama uFigo Ebezamage egute Akupeka chekeshele ngawo shunwe nkani na ngulinda Mntambo 2022 emva kwegoli lakhe ke uFortune Makaringe owathike wadlake inet basebenqoba ke ngo-1-0 abayo lapha ke madoda aliphatha Sangare akekho 18 angimazi ke ugijima uyapi kuso lapha ke isigwebo sentambo uyoyicelela nje ugwetshwa uAlibadra Sangare ebese ijikela nje kamnandi Miguel Tima khipha lapha ke Pascal Nokusho right homa rayifetsa Mufukenga ufuna support phakathi boxing Dion Hoto icross yakhe ihamba yodwa nje uDion Hoto ihamba yodwa icross ka Dion Hoto Pirates aspika lapha ke ibhola lesikhukhune Jamie Weber window Dachena ungena ngapha zinsimbi uphuma ngapha Maketango yena ke upelepele babela basentia Zobuna phela lapha ke obondeni ibhola lakhe uDion Hotto ayizobena lapha ke Elias Mokwana akumjikelo weingane Kirio ujikela kwasani nampo Dlamini nabo ke bejikela uthi uDlamini mina ngayiphindiselela khipha lapha ke pass kana kusho onside right Thoma Raifetsa phakathi eboxini ibhola leOrlando Pirates Mufukeng asibhekela lithuba phakathi eboxini nalithuba window Jasandare ezobena uDion Hotto futhi right Thoma Raifetsa ebefuna ukuyela bathatha isikhathi ke ukumsupporta akekho ufuna ukukhomita bangabe Mfukeng ephethe ibhola bonke basaba ukuhlekwa bangabe ke phethe ibhola ke leyo mfana akekho nje ufuna ukuyinikela akupheka nje kashenela ngakoshunwenkani enhle irun eyenziwa uMfukeng uthi ngiyavula uthi ngiyahlaba ngiyahla Alibandra Sangare phakamisa migol team ngapha ke nenkundla ke manje sebenza Nyiko Mobi right Thoma Raifetsa Mufukeng dlala no Dion Hotto right Thoma Raifetsa Mufukeng futhi khipha lapha ke pass kanokusho Dlamini uthi yahlabuya uDlamini enhle ipass esuka lapha ke kuMfukeng akupheka nje kashenela ngakoshunwenkani bayama abesikhukhune phekene noSesana engapha nenkundla ke manje Linda Mntambo indlela yapass phakathi eboxini Kalakata naye leyo mpahla kwadumisandla nangu Linda Mntambo against a former team ezokhipha ipass kanokusho unokusho wasale ngena pass lakhona ihlalele yahlangana noVusmuzi Mncube awudlala mChina Nchovere nebenibhadere uthi ufika umChina sengubhadere awusala usudlala umChina akupheka nje lesitshelela ngakoshunwenkani ufiko uyavula uyavala wakhipha idefense splitting pass yahlangana nomChina engapha ke kusesane dayisa ke leli bhola sibhekela phakathi Linda Mntambo wenze njani ufuna ngapha ke umjikelo weingane Kirio phakathi eboxini zinsimbi Amaketango Sipho Chain ebefuna lapha ke Linda Mntambo zongena iyonyakaza noKabelo Dlamini lapha ke phakathi nenkundla Kabelo Dlamini phakathi eboxini nasi isigwebo sentambo asivimba isigwebo sentambo bayamazi ke uThokophatso Mabasa uke wadlala kuso isikhukhune bamazi kahle uyakhala lapha ke isigwebo sentambo uthi lapha ke khahlelwe mina ipenalty leya uthi noPhephe mina ngibeka icorner kick asibheke lapha ke ibhola leOrlando Pirates Kabelo Dlamini libahlakaye indoda Sangare Alibandra Sangare auto Sangare kwakho Gezola lapha kumdlalo wesibili against Orlando Pirates emidlalweni ye-DStv Premiership asibheka lapha komChina Nchovere siyabesibhadere uVusmuzi Mncube pass kanokusho phakathi eboxini nalithuba Kalakata Figo uJwaba Tumkhosi umjikelo weingane Elias Mokwana ushaya icross ehamba phansi ihlangana noLinda Mntambo Figo yadlala TV wadlala umtshini wesetellite bayajabula siduma ngaba aspikela phakathi ibhola le-Orlando Pirates Dion Hoto bele phela babela basedia nalithuba Krakata nayo leyo mpahla wase kwaduma izandla kwaduma ihlombe 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 isikhipha lapha ke phakathi komlenze Linda Mntambo Figo Otuyayela uFigo Otuyayela uLinda Mntambo uzobuka oyindoda Sangare Alibadra Sangare ayihlaba bayicela ke manje asibhekela phakathi iseni Kapinga uyangena phakathi eboxini Kapinga nalithuba we Mabasa emkhiphile uKapinga imkhiphile ilavila lokha ethi hlabuhle sigwebo sentambo amaqala abo sengwathathile ngawaqeda uthi Mabasa kunedokhethe eshodayo angwazi ukubagweba ingakafiki leyo dokhethe aniphinde nhlanganise futhi kunofaka walunguza ke kuMaritzburg United wasedlala kuyo lapha ke African All Stars Mufukenga oyindoda Sangare isiphithiphithi kusepri kuse-Wanderers isiphithiphithi Kabelo Dlamini unoshintsho nozinti Mufukenga phakathi eboxini sebenza uDaniel Caroso Karim Kimfuidi sebembo
And in the other game that took place in Tanzania the following day, on a Saturday evening kickoff, first leg of the quarterfinals of this year's Caf Champions League, was Young Africans taking on Mamelodi Sundowns, 2016 winners, Mamelodi Sundowns. And let's just say, disappointingly, there's not much to take home from this game. Disappointingly, because Mamelodi Sundowns were held by stubborn Young Africans away in Tanzania. So now, look, Mamelodi Sundowns now play to a 0-0 job, in their Caf Champions League quarterfinal first leg on Saturday night. And to be honest, it was very disappointing. It was a very disappointing encounter, not much to actually drive home. Because Sundowns, they failed to make their mark in the first half. And Yanga, intensified the pressure in the second half. And the match ended 0-0, deservedly so, right? Because from the onset, the home team, signaled their intent, right? We saw with Clement Mzize, challenging goalkeeper Ronan Williams at the opening minute. But, the Bafana national team captain, he basically rose to the occasion. And, Kabuyelo, they struggled to actually find their rhythm, only showing signs of improvement towards the latter stages of the first half. And, on the other hand, they just headed into halftime with the score still deadlocked at 0-0. And in the second half, Young Africans intensified the pressure on their opponents, aiming to actually score the crucial, goal that was needed to break the deadlock. But the Brazilians also had numerous opportunities, but they just struggled to convert them into goals, resulting in the, score being 0-0. And the teams will actually meet again in a quarterfinal second leg on Friday, April the 5th at Loftus Versfeld. Looking forward to that game. But credit must also go to Yanga for asserting their dominance on their home ground, maintaining pressure on Sundowns throughout the match and actually securing a clean sheet. Because I understand, going to Loftus, it's going to be a very difficult game for the Tanzanians. But look, remember, one thing you must say, one thing we have to also understand, we cannot underestimate them. Remember, it's anybody's game. With the tie still deadlocked at 0-0, it's anybody's game. Okay? It's anybody's game. Because if Yanga, they can just score like one goal and then they defend for the entire game. Or if it like the score results finishes in a 1-1 draw or in a 2-2 draw, then Yanga goes through based on the away goal advantage. Right? And let me just say, Sundowns just required greater accuracy in their passes, man, in the final attacking third. And the fact is they were just not more clinical. They lacked that clinical approach, to actually capitalize on their opportunities. What I saw is that Ribeiro, this particular combination between Ribeiro, Shalulile as well as Lodge up front, I don't think it's a great combination. And I look at Ribeiro. Ribeiro was losing so much of the ball. He was losing a lot of ball possession. And on top of the fact that, you look at the fact that even Shalulile, he... at times the way he makes wrong decisions, and it makes him look like an ordinary player. The decision, the way he runs, like the positions that he moves into, sometimes it's like, he's playing on the left, sometimes he's playing as a central attacking, as a central striker. But I guess it's also a game plan from the coach, and hopefully Sundowns will rectify that in the second leg, because now it just didn't make sense. Ribeiro was losing a lot of the possession. Very disappointing from him, the Brazilian. He was losing so much of the ball. And Sundowns, they just lacked that, sucker punch. They just didn't have that killer instinct in yesterday's game. And that's so unlike them, to be honest. For the first time, it showed like Sundowns were not intentional about winning the game. For the first time. I think it was the game against Pirates at Loftus. For the fact that they were held to a 1-1 draw to Orlando Pirates, playing with 10 men, says a lot. And the game that they played against, which was the other game, man? There were several games where Sundowns, they just didn't have that, they just didn't really play like a team that wanted to win. It was the game against Pirates, where they drew 1-1. As well as the game against, but perhaps the game against SuperSport as well. They looked very sluggish, if you ask me. They looked very sluggish. They didn't really look like their usual self, And that's what led to Matsatsansa Pitori, walking away with an unlikely point. But, the Brazilians now, they will return, for the Premier Soccer League, the DStv Premiership match against Richards Bay on Tuesday evening. And obviously that's an easy win for them. I can say to you, that's an easy win for them. And they will have to shift their focus back to continental football when they take on, the Young Africans in their quarterfinal second leg clash at Loftus Versfeld on Friday, the 4th of April. But let's be honest, Young Africans have got nothing to lose at all. To be honest, Young Africans have got nothing to lose, right? But let me say to you guys, on the side of Kaizer Chiefs, Kevin Johnson is not a good coach. On the side of Kaizer Chiefs, 90% of those players are not Kaizer Chiefs material. And I'm going to actually go dive into more of that clash between Cape Town City as well as Kaizer Chiefs, because it was a very disappointing encounter. And I need to actually dive into it more, to actually explain to people how to express my disappointment in both teams, man. In a sold-out crowd, but then you realize that the performance on the field is just very poor, to say the least. But look, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll be in touch with you pretty soon with regards to the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, the French League 1, as well as the Bundesliga action.